You're on centralcoastradio.com, and now we're going to take a look at The Little Mermaid, one of those films that seems like some people on social media wasn't happy about being made in the first place, and other people were eagerly anticipating. But Lee and I headed along the other night to the premiere of The Little Mermaid, thanks to Disney, and we kind of come at this one from different angles because I'd never seen the original, and you love the original, so we kind of...
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we kind of come from it from different angles, but the basic storyline is still there. Ariel, voiced and played here by Hale Bailey, is a young mermaid who has been told by her father, King Triton, played by Javier Bardem, that she shouldn't have anything to do with the world above the surface because that is what killed her mother. But of course, Ariel is obsessed by what is above the surface, and that heightens even more after she rescues Eric, played by Jonah Heyer-King, after a shipwreck. Now, she's buoyed along by her three friends: Sebastian, voiced by David Diggs, Flounder, voiced by Jacob Tremblay, and Scuttle, voiced by Aquafina. Some of them encourage her to explore the upper world, and some of them tell her not to, but soon she finds herself entering into a pact with Ursula, played by Melissa McCarthy, who gives her legs in a bid to woo Eric, but she has to do so within 3 days or there is dire consequences. So Lee, as a Little Mermaid fan of the original animated film, what were your thoughts on this, the real-life action remake?
I was a little bit worried before I saw it that it wouldn't hit the mark. I guess when you watch something as quite a young person, and this was one I watched over and over with my sisters, and it became a family favourite. We knew every song, we knew every line, and we liked the intrigue of a mermaid wanting to be on land, and also the intrigue of the living under the sea, living underwater. There's a lot of mystery, I guess, in that. And they did hit the mark, I have to say. I loved that they kept a lot of original songs in there. So they stayed true to the original movie in that way. So there was songs like Part of Your World, Under the Sea, Poor Unfortunate Souls, Kiss the Girl. So some of the favourites are there, and they're done really well. In this movie, they do add extra songs. So in relation to Eric in particular, there is an extra song added. And I have to say, it fits in. It actually really fits into the storyline. And it feels like it belongs. It doesn't feel like, something's been put in there that shouldn't be there. It actually fits very nicely into the storyline, and the music just complements the movie. I think in this version you see a little bit more about Eric's character, and you just see him portrayed a bit more, you understand him more. There's extra scenes in the movie to the original, but I actually enjoyed those scenes. I know some people are a bit funny about why you're adding to it or why you're making the movie longer. But for me, I think it was complimentary. It didn't detract from it. I did watch some making ofs. I did some little bit of research and watched some interviews with the cast, and I think I appreciated the movie even more after watching them, seeing, for example, Melissa McCarthy's character Ursula transforming with all her makeup and her hair, and how much work she put into her character. And I did not know Melissa McCarthy could sing. In the movie, she's singing, and I actually turned to you, Dave, didn't I? And I'm like, is she miming or is she sing? Can she sing? And yes, she does it, and she does an amazing job. In fact, while I love all the characters, I really admire Melissa McCarthy's acting in this movie, and how diverse she is as an actress. I really admire and respect her for the role she plays in this movie. And I think that Hale Bailey also playing Ariel pulls her off as well. Like, she does a really good job with Ariel. In an animation, you know, you see that innocence in a character and a beauty within and without, like within, you know, whether it's a beauty physically and a beauty within. She really carried that. And you could see the longing in her to want to be part of the world, not just the sea. And yeah, I guess in the making ofs, when you look at that, you see them on the wires, how they have to swim, and you also learn that they do a lot of obviously swimming themselves and in the water, and the fire scenes with fire in the background and on the ship, that's real. So there's actually a lot of action in this and a lot of stunt work, I guess, to make it what it is. So I was quite impressed with it. Look, there were a couple of scenes that I was like, oh, they're under the water, and while Ariel's singing, it doesn't quite look like it's real that she's under the water, but they were only moments. That wasn't the whole movie. There's some stunning scenery shots under the water, and it's beautiful. Like, they've done a really good job with that. And yeah, there's just so much in this story. So I think I am really excited about the way it's turned out, considering, you know, what they went through to make the movie as well. Technically challenging, I think, to make a movie where you're underwater. And I think they've done a great job with it.
Yeah, and Disney went all out as well with this film, not only with the casting, but also with the behind the scenes. The extra songs in this are written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who, of course, is the person who wrote the music for In the Heights. He also received an Oscar nomination for his work on Encanto, including the brilliant song We Don't Talk About Bruno, which a lot of people love. But then also teaming up there as well, they brought in Rob Marshall, who of course had worked on the Pirates of the Caribbean, but he'd also worked on musicals like Chicago and Nine. And then they brought in David McGee as the screenwriter, who had written Life of Pi. All three of them, actually, really weirdly, had also worked together on Mary Poppins Returns a few years ago. So they brought in like a really experienced team to work on the music and the screenplay and the directing. But I just found this to be a really, really beautiful film. The look underneath the ocean is absolutely fantastic. For someone like myself who had never seen the original, I found myself drawn into that world very, very quickly. I love kind of underwater stuff, things like Atlantis and things like that's always kind of intrigued me. So I found that I really found myself being drawn into their world. I guess Rob Marshall's past working on films like Pirates of the Caribbean came into the fore as well, with the scenes of like Eric on the boat and the shipwreck. But I thought they'd cast it very, very well. I guess I didn't have that thing of other people going into this movie used to a different voice for Ariel, so I quickly warmed to Hale Bailey playing Ariel in the film. I'm a big Javier Bardem fan, so I really liked him as King Triton, but I will admit there's one cheesy scene at the end that feels like it's kind of been tacked on and doesn't need to be there, and I don't know how you make Javier Bardem look cheesy, but they did in that little scene. My other bit that I was kind of a little bit annoyed about, not annoyed, but just disappointed, I thought they could have used Melissa McCarthy more as Ursula. She does such a great job of playing this evil character, but early on her scenes feel kind of underused. Like you just want to see more of her in that role. But the person who stole the show for me was actually Art Malik as Sir Grimsby, who is the Queen's advisor and also is supposed to be keeping an eye on Eric. He has these great little scenes where it's like he's supposed to be impartial to what's going on, but he's like, no, you need to be with this girl. And at one point he like kicks a ring away and stuff like that. So I really, really liked Art Malik in this. I thought he stole the show in a few of the scenes. I was also a very big fan of Awkwafina voicing Scuttle. I thought she did a really, really good job there. I loved Sebastian and Flounder as well, but you could tell that Awkwafina was ad-libbing sometimes because it's her style of humor that they had there. So I kind of really, really enjoyed The Little Mermaid, even though I wasn't sure of what I was going to see going into it. I just found it visually spectacular, so I loved it. What are you going to give this 1 out of 5 and why?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 because I think that it stayed very true to the original, which sometimes is very hard to do, especially when the original's an animation. But I think they brought everything out in the original into this version. And I loved the music in it, and I loved that they added some songs it really was complimentary, as I said earlier. But I loved the acting in this. I thought all the actors, obviously off screen, I think it shines through that they all get along and respect each other too, because their performances when they were together, even, when you've got Ursula as a bad character and Ariel as a good character, their performances together really worked. So I think they were a really strong, tight team, and I guess they encouraged each other in ways that brought the best out in them as actors. I'm going to... I only lose a little bit of that point because, the scene at the end, which, Dave, you already just mentioned, it just cut to this big close-up of King Triton, and I don't know, it doesn't fit well, but, I understand what they were trying to achieve with that scene, but it just didn't fit well, and some of the audience laughed, which made me sad, actually, because it's such a beautiful, amazing film with great acting, but that one scene kind of just let it down a little bit. But I am amazed with what they've achieved technically as well as visually, and with all the acting.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 as well. Like I said, I just found this to be visually spectacular. It's kind of made me almost wonder, do I want to go back and watch the animation now? Because it's that kind of 90s style animation, and now I've seen this beautiful world that Rob Marshall has built with this film. So we are both giving The Little Mermaid 4 out of 5. It's a general release, so check your local cinema guide and it should be showing near you, and we'll be back in just a moment on centralcoastradio.com.